Hey guys, Jacob Dupre here. I want to show you some fun ideas on how to use triads in your jazz, blues, and gospel playing. This idea has a very bluesy sound to it, which is why I say it can work in pure blues music or jazz or gospel, because all of those genres kind of have a lot of similarities, and definitely kind of a bluesy, kind of soulful vibe is something that will cross over into any of those. So the basic idea is, let's say we're in B flat, right? So let's just give ourselves a key. So that's going to be our root. That's going to be the base of our harmony, our chord. And first I want to teach you a minor version of this. There's really like a minor and a major version. And of course, when we talk about minor and major, we're really talking about the third, right? The third of the chord is what makes something minor or major. So with the minor one, let's say we're just in kind of a general B flat kind of blues sort of scenario, right? But B flat minor. So what you're going to do is play what essentially is a B flat minor 7 chord. So in root position, that would be B flat, D flat, F, and A flat. But we're going to play it in this voicing. So with basically a D flat triad in the right hand, and a B flat in the bass. And then I'm going to move that up to an E flat triad from D flat to E flat. So all the notes are going to move by a whole step up the keyboard. And then I'm going to move one more time to an F minor triad. F. And when you play that over the B flat and the bass, you get that sound, right? And you can already hear that kind of has that crossover blues, a little jazzy, a little gospel-y kind of sound. And it's definitely something you could use in any of those. You know, like if you were playing, a blues, something like, maybe something like. Maybe it was a blues form, so like a 12-bar blues, but there was a walking bass line, like a jazz feel. So that's the idea of that. And when you want to practice this, I kind of like to practice this and do some rhythmic things with my left hand too. So I've got my metronome set up, and I'm just going to play a little bit of something that you can try out yourself. You can simplify it as much as you want. You can literally just play around with it. So the idea is to take these 3 triads in your right hand, D flat, E flat, and F minor, that first 2 being major, and then F minor triad. And then in your left hand, trying to stay in kind of a general B flat minor sort of sound. And coming up with what I would like to call just kind of like sort of a basic, sort of gospel-y kind of accompanimental thing. Really kind of, again, blues, funk, jazz, soul, rock, all that, it kind of all gels together sometimes, right? So I'm just going to play around with that for a sec. So see, isn't that so much fun? Basically, all I'm doing in my left hand is just going B flat, D flat, E flat, and to F. So sort of what you would say is like kind of a minor pentatonic thing, right? And I just love that. It sounds so good. It sounds so fun. I really like playing with, doing different syncopations and rhythms between the left and right hand. Of course, if some of that is, you feel like a little too advanced, you can just play something simple like. So this is what I'm playing there. and then I'm just playing, just pulsing, bum, 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 B flat, D flat, E flat, and F. Here's how that sounds. So I was improvising a little bit and playing with that rhythm in the right hand, but I would encourage you to do that. That's definitely a really cool way to explore this idea. You know, it's kind of like a concept, but really it's just kind of a musical idea that you can use, like I said, in kind of those similar genres of blues, jazz, gospel, that whole kind of thing. Speaking of the gospel thing, you know, if you're ever in a situation where you're playing with this kind of sort of classic gospel walking bass line, give myself a tempo. So something like this. And there's another cool thing I want to leave you with too. Try, instead of using the F minor triad, so try using an E major triad. So hear how this sounds. Super awesome and bluesy and crunchy. I've been using this forever, and I definitely, it's kind of one of those things that's in my bag that when I'm doing anything that's like jazzy or gospel-y or bluesy or anything, it probably comes out of my playing somehow, right? And I like bending it and messing with it, using other triads. The other version of this idea is the major way of playing it, and the only difference really is that you're going to be playing a D natural instead of a D flat. So remember before we had D flat triad, E flat, and F minor triads. Now instead of a D flat triad, you're going to make the D flat a D. So it's going to change from this to this. So basically now what do you have? When you play the B flat in the bass, now you have a B flat 7 chord. So now when you walk that up, so it's literally exactly the same, except there's a D natural instead of a D flat. So if I go back to playing that thing I was playing before, and now I play it with the D natural instead, you'll hear how that can be used for a different sound. So really the first one is more of a minor kind of sound, but this one has that major third in it. But the cool thing about it is you can mix and match them. So let me show you that. So it's kind of a touchy thing, you know, there are a couple instances there where maybe, you know, mixing them sounds like a little strange, but I really like it. And especially if you do it like as a grace note. So if you do this, you get that bluesy minor third going to major third. So again, if I was playing, you know, a blues, so kind of with a walking bass line about this tempo. So I threw in some other things there too, but you can see that I was kind of mixing the both of them, right? The kind of D natural one, the more major one, and then the minor one. And obviously, again, like if you're playing that gospel, that fast gospel bass line, you can use both of them. So here would be the minor one with the D flat. Like even though you have this D down here and the D flat up top, it still sounds good, right? But then you could use, of course, use the major one. If you use the D flat as a grace note, it's even cooler. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and that it inspires you to use this idea in your own playing. If you have any questions, as always, please comment them below and I'd be happy to answer them. Thanks so much for watching.